And welcome to this March Madness edition of the 941 Sports Zone, episode number 29. And the madness is not just college basketball. Today is the opening day of the legal tampering period in the NFL, and the news is just coming fast and furious. We're recording this just after 1 o'clock on Monday, and it seems like my phone's going off about every 30 seconds.
Right.
I'm Spitz. He's John, not on spring break. Masoni, I assume they're on spring break down that way because here it's different. It's February and April.
Everybody, all the spring breakers are in town. Let's just say that. So you're right now is probably the peak. The next 2 weeks of everybody coming into town, and so you either embrace it or you hide. and I don't want to hide because the weather's just too nice right now. So I'm not on spring break, but I'm sure
it is here too, John.
So.
Mid 60s today, low 70s tomorrow, and then the bottom falls out of the thermometer. But they're going to give us a little tease here anyway of spring, so we're enjoying it.
Al Roker was very much about the next couple of days for you guys. Al Roker was touting the next 2 days, so that's you got when you get that little taste of it. It's nice to get that little taste of it.
All right, do you have to get that?
No. It's
okay.
Too far.
Right.
I'll hold on. I'll keep talking.
All right. I'll tell everyone that the 941 Sports Zone is presented, as always, by Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida, locally owned and nationally backed, delivering exceptional roofing for homes and businesses throughout the Gulf Coast. 941-251-4257 is the number. 941-251-4257. That looks like a landline phone.
It's
a landline phone.
I think nothing of it because my folks lived here for years, and they always wanted a landline phone, and it rings once every 2 days.
Yeah,
there it is. Landline phone.
There it is. For those of you who are too young to remember what those were, and I know there's a few people that watch this podcast that are on the young side for sure. A lot of my son's friends and that. All right, let's start with the NFL. I know March Madness. We're getting into the conference tournaments, and we'll definitely talk at length about what's going on. We've got a lot of good teams here in the state of Florida, but let's do the NFL. And the Dolphins have basically changed direction at quarterback. They announced early on Monday morning that they're going to release Tua Tagovailoa. They're going to do it after June 1st, so I believe that means they can split up the $99.2 million of dead cap over the next 2 years. I think it's 54 or 55 million this year and the rest next year. And literally right before we came on the air, you hit me with the news because apparently Ian Rappaport's not a friend of mine on my phone, that Malik Willis will be their starting quarterback. That was probably the worst kept secret of the last several weeks, ever since Jeff Hafley was hired as head coach of the Dolphins from the Green Bay Packers, because Malik Willis comes from the Green Bay Packers. And again, the Dolphins are going to go through a 2 or 3 year period where they're in total rebuild mode. Gives the Jets an opportunity to get out of the cellar. That was a cheap shot, sorry. But nonetheless, your thoughts on the Dolphins going with Malik Willis? I believe it's just a 1 year deal.
I like Malik Willis' his potential, but that's the one thing you got to. It's when you do these kind of deals and it's a $45 million guarantee, it's all based on potential. Mm-hmm. And is he good because he has a great offensive coordinator head coach in Green Bay? Is it a system situation? You don't know until things get rolling. Understand, it will be a rough start, okay? There's no doubt about it, because the Dolphins were overall, in my opinion, I think the Dolphins were in a worse position last year, mid of the year, than the Jets were in that's using that division. The Jets have since started their clearinghouse earlier than the Dolphins did. The Dolphins are doing it now. But I'm just always cautious, because you got to see how the guy fits into the system. You got to see how the new coach is going to cut his teeth. It's really going to be an interesting situation for the Dolphins. It's encouraging because he was the big prize. You went out there and won free agency for today, let's just say, by getting that guy and getting that quarterback, and probably making your fan base very happy by finally deciding that Tua was not the guy. And nothing against Tua as a person. as a guy who came back from multiple concussions that maybe he shouldn't have. I thought the Dolphins didn't protect him from himself very well in a lot of these situations. But you move on, and you get the next guy there ready to go, and you start your rebuild on March 9th.
Oh, speaking of rebuilding, the Jets are doing it. This just coming over as we are live. Demario Davis, a linebacker, 2-year deal.
Reunion, yes. And that's the guy that we were talking about. You want these guys that sort of are going to be 3-4 type of guys. Seems like Aaron Glenn's going to move that direction. But 3-4, 4-3 these days, it's everything is disguised and it's different. And this guy's rushing and this guy's dropping. So you want versatile guys, that kind of thing. If you want to imagine what it's like, it looks like probably going to look like Georgia Bulldog defense. I use that for my.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, they got big, thick guys in the middle, guys that can get upfield, rush, drop into coverage. You don't know where it's coming from, so we'll see if that is the way they go. But a guy who was a former Jet coming back home to New York.
Minkah Fitzpatrick goes to the Jets. And the asking price, just a 7th-round pick, not your own 7th-round pick, but the Chargers' 7th-round pick. So you gave up the worst of your picks, actually, in picking up Fitzpatrick. And listen, you need help. You didn't have a single interception last year.
Right.
Fitzpatrick will definitely help you there.
He's a ball hawking safety,
yes.
Not a big stud. And honestly, you needed a safety, and you kept on seeing in these mock drafts how the Jets were looking as somebody might want to get Caleb Downs, the Ohio State kid who was maybe the best defensive player in NCAA football last year. However, let's getting to what happens in April with the draft. I am not a proponent of getting a safety high in the draft.
Right.
If you got a more than competent safety for a 7th-round pick, and you extended him out for 3 years, that's a home run in draft etiquette, if you want to call it that.
Parlance.
You're right. You got the safety. You didn't have to blow one of your main draft picks this year to get him, and now you're freed up to maybe take a chance on another offensive lineman or something along those lines. So we'll see how that works out. Davis comes in. You can have him and Avril Reese, the kid from Ohio State, or David or Bailey from Texas Tech. So you've got guys there. So this free agency thing, when you're looking at these teams build, they're sticking in pieces where now they don't have to worry about it in the draft or in the trade market.
The Bucs have a pass catcher coming back. No, it's not Mike Evans. It's Cade Otton, tight end. Apparently he's going to re-sign with Tampa Bay, but it certainly looks like Mike Evans is gone. Talked to his agent this morning. I didn't. Somebody talked to his agent this morning, and basically it's out there. He's probably going to be end up somewhere, Houston, maybe Dallas, somewhere close to home. He went to Texas A&M, and of course he's from Eastern Texas. It's kind of sad, but by the same token, Tampa Bay can't afford to spend that kind of money on a guy who might be your 3rd or 4th best receiver.
And you drafted well last year with Ibuka. If I'm saying that properly. And everybody's like, "Whoa, did they really need that guy?" Well, they did, and they got him in the fold early. Mike Evans is going to be anywhere he goes from this point forward. He's going to be a 3rd guy at best, possession guy, maybe get you first downs. A 50 catch year for him might be the mark. And he makes somebody better going into the playoffs, but he's had hamstring issues. He's had all the little things. The sad part about it is you'd love to see a guy like him retire, and end it with the Buccaneers, without having that one extra year. But unfortunately, the NFL doesn't work that way. We can go down the list of great Hall of Fame players who, where'd you finish at? Oh, I finished in this team and that team.
The guy I always reference, John, is Joe Montana.
Yeah,
I could never see Joe Montana in another uniform as I was growing up, and he was playing in Kansas City. I don't think he was great in Kansas City, but he was playing for sure.
And you go back to the guys like Joe Namath going to the Rams when it was over with there. Just guys that you hear all these big names that they went one more year someplace else, and it has some. It's sometimes it's okay. They have a good year or whatever, but it doesn't usually work out for the best in those situations.
The big news came out on Friday. Max Crosby ends up going from Las Vegas to Baltimore for 2 number ones. Number one this year and number one next year. And the way the Raiders have drafted, I mean, to me, the Ravens win this deal. They have had serious issues for a team that's built on defense. They've had serious issues rushing the quarterback over the last several years.
We and I were texting the other day about this when it happened, and I said something along the lines that Baltimore always seems to get their guy. It took them a little while this time though, because they were sort of, a lot of things in the last year or so. Now John Harbaugh's gone, those kind of things. There needed to be a refocus on the defense, and I think this is a good place for Max Crosby to land. If he has another year like he's had the last couple of years, he'll be a superstar now because he's playing in relevant football games, in rivalry games. He's a great guy to match up with the Steelers and the like of in that division. So I think he's the right cut in the right cloth, I guess you would say.
Mm-hmm.
But again, they know what they want, the Ravens in the front office, and they definitely went and got their guy.
No question about it. Looks like the Kansas City defensive backfield is heading to L.A. The Rams traded for cornerback Trent McDuffie over the weekend. He signed a 4-year, $124 million extension, $100 million guaranteed. The first DB to get $100 million guaranteed. And then the other cornerback, it's been reported, is also signed with the Rams off of Kansas City. Steve Spagnuolo's got to be going, what are you doing to me?
Yeah, no, I mean the Rams have pretty much decided that all they needed is a couple of cornerbacks to win the championship, and maybe that is the truth, based on some statistics in the playoffs. And
based on what Seattle did to them in 3 games. I mean,
right?
If you think about it, they scored 19 points in the first game, and Darnold threw 4 picks. Second game they scored 38, and the third game they scored 31. So yeah, they have identified their weakness, and they are definitely looking to fill it. Meanwhile, the Chiefs, in my opinion, get a steal. Kenneth Walker, the Super Bowl MVP, is going to sign with Kansas City.
When I saw that, I was like, my jaw dropped when I saw that, because it was something I would not have expected. So I was very surprised that Walker that Seattle let him go, number one, and that the Chiefs were the team that they went to. There was a weakness for the Chiefs. Pacheco was sort of having very sporadic success the last couple of years. They need a reliable guy. Now, listen, I don't think he's a 3-down guy. I think he's going to be maybe a 20 carry guy, 15, 18 carry guy out of the backfield. But that's what Mahomes thrives on, distributing the ball to playmakers. And boy, he is a playmaker. He is definitely a playmaker.
So they're coming fast and furious. Travis Kelce says that he's coming back. Question is it going to be the Chiefs or is it going to be somewhere else? And that remains to be seen. He had 76 catches last year. I didn't realize he had that many catches for Kansas City. And when you consider Mahomes didn't play the last few games, that's a pretty good number.
Brady and Gronkowski, Mahomes and Kelce, okay? They have that bit of nowhere to go, how to do it. Kelce doesn't run elaborate routes. He finds an open spot. Mahomes throws him open a lot of times. He's just he makes plays. He's a better athlete than maybe people give him credit for. He's a very good athlete. I just think that if Travis Kelce comes back, he's got to be a Chief. I don't see him going anywhere else. It doesn't make any sense. And I don't think he needs it. He's not chasing championships. He's not chasing money based on who he's marrying. Right. Not to say that he's making a living himself, but he doesn't need to worry about that. I think Kansas City is home to him. Same with Patrick Mahomes, and I think he'd be foolish to move someplace else unless he was just so desperate to play football and the Chiefs didn't want him that he went someplace else. I just don't see that happening.
I agree with you 100%. By the way, if you get invited to the wedding, what the heck do you get the bride and groom? They got more money than God.
It's you're right. It's one of those things where you'd have to be something that was personal from you, or if you knew something about them that, you knew Travis well enough to know that he collects something or he did something, something along those lines. You never know. You're not going to buy him an air fryer. You're not going that route. You're going for something that would be, a select thing. If whatever you do, maybe it's something that you create. You're some sort of an artist or whatever. You do something like that, or maybe you commission something. Who knows? Or maybe you just show up and say, "Here's a card. This is all you need. The knowledge is from me. Good luck. Call me if you need counseling."
By the way, another signing that kind of shocked me, Jalen Phillips,
yes,
the former Dolphin who went to the Eagles, he ends up going to Carolina on a 4-year deal, $120 million, $80 million guaranteed. How does Philly let him get out of the locker room?
I don't know, and I can only probably tell you that there could have been some money involved in this thing, that maybe they didn't want to spend the top dollar money he wanted, and from the flip side of this, I like the Panthers making that move.
Sure,
Panthers. Looking at the Panthers, nobody would have expected them to make the playoffs last year, and all the tiebreakers and all the crap that happened at the end of the year last year. They did manage to get in, but I think they've got a lot of pieces in place, and a good defense sure as heck's going to help Bryce Young out quite a bit. This could be a year that we're going to make decisions on Bryce Young like we make decisions on Tua. And those, again, undersized guy, decent arm. Is he a franchise guy? You're now putting pieces together. You've got him an offensive coordinator type of head coach. So it's good to see. I think Jalen Phillips will flourish with the Panthers.
I agree. But something just came down. Kenneth Greenwell has signed a 2-year deal with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So they replaced Rashad White with a very similar back. I think he's a little bigger. I've always liked him because he can catch the ball out of the backfield.
Yeah.
And when Barkley needed a series off, it wasn't much of a drop off. I think that's a great signing by Tampa Bay.
No, I listen. They could make a few moves, okay, and be healthy on the offensive line and win the division again next year. They were headed towards the division championship until they sort of crapped the bed at the end. Baker didn't look right. Baker looked like the bad Baker, not the good Baker.
The injured Baker.
The injured Baker, right. And then and defense, I think defense, and again, we talk about this about Todd Bowles, and I'm not going to pick on Todd Bowles this early in the offseason, but sometimes the style of his defense, doesn't matter how many Vita Veas or whoever else they get, it doesn't work out. Hassan Reddick was a pure disaster last year for them. So the defense is going to be a few things on offense, but the defense is going to be where they have to land because you got Levante David to replace. You've got some guys you need to fill some holes, and I still don't think that they're very solid at corner.
Hey, let me interrupt you. You wanted Alex Anzalone?
Got him?
Nope. He's Tampa Bay. 2 years, $17 million.
There you go. There's your Levante David replacement right there.
Mm-hmm.
He's a bigger guy, but he's an athlete. I can tell you this as a Florida Gator fan. I only saw him playing about 4 games because he was hurt for 4 years. Right. Seriously, every time he got on the field, he was a 5-star kid out of Pennsylvania. And when he got drafted, we're like, well, he didn't do anything. And then he's had a really, really solid NFL career up to this point. So he's a solid player. He's gonna be the listen, you got a dog, I got a phone. We're even Steven on this one right now.
Yeah, well, that's the mighty dog though.
Exactly. You're missing the break. You gotta tell the commercial.
He definitely there's too many people walking around out here. It's too nice out.
Yep. Anzalone though is gonna be a good addition to them for sure.
Yeah. So everybody is making moves. Boy, they opened the door to this period, and mighty dog. That's enough. Holy crap. Anyway, all this is like window dressing because there's all kinds of physicals that have to take place and can't do so till after 4:00 on Wednesday. There you go. All right, he's out of here. All right, sorry about that, folks.
That's fine.
The Mighty Dog is telling you that they're locally owned and nationally backed, and delivering exceptional roofing for homes and businesses throughout the Gulf Coast. 941-251-4257, 941-251-4257. We could just sit here for the next 3 hours and just they're just coming fast and furious right now.
My good friend is in Michigan. He is an absolute fanatic football fan, and he would tell you the same thing. He can't come on this podcast. He's a plethora of knowledge. He has strong opinions. He's a Steeler fan, but he likes the dirty words too much, and I don't know if we could have him on here without him blasting us off of YouTube. He's a great guy, and he called me at 8:30 this morning, and he was ready to start talking. I said, you know what, you and I could stay on speakerphone right now and just keep on charging our phones until Wednesday. So we'll see that we may be doing it later. We'll see how it goes.
Well, we'll have a complete wrap-up next week. By the way, Alec Pierce stays with Indy. That's a big one. Wide receiver. And there was a wide receiver that signed with the Steelers.
Pittman.
Michael Pittman.
Yeah,
he's actually going to be traded to the Steelers. So the Steelers are getting parts. The only thing they need now is a quarterback.
Yeah. And you know what's funny, though? The teams that you would – the free agency never really says that there's going to be it's a guaranteed. But the guys going out there getting guys early – that's when you like to see aggression. Even if you're a Patriots fan right now. I mean, they had a great season. You would love to see them go out in free agency and get some nuggets. You know what I mean? Yep. And so do they need it? Maybe not. Maybe there's somebody that suits them. But it sure makes the fan base feel good, even though no matter how good you are, that you're constantly improving your product.
Yeah, well, the Ravens are clearly the favorite in that division now. So. The Steelers are going to try to catch up, and they're the defending champs.
Yeah,
think about that. They're the defending champs. So, all right, let's switch to college basketball because we have a lot of interest locally. The Florida Gators are just on a roll. They are. The only thing you hope is they're not peaking too soon. I mean, that is the only thing that at this point, they've won their last 11, and most of the games have not been close. I mean, when was the last time they went into Rupp? And I know the game got to be 2 points midway through the second half, but they scored the first 11 points of the game. They were in complete control. And then they had another huge run in the second half. 84-77, really not indicative of how bad they beat Kentucky. And guess what? They might see them again in the quarterfinals of the SEC tournament because the way Kentucky's the 9, they've got to play LSU. They should win that game, and then they play Missouri, and the winner of that game plays Florida. Meanwhile, the Gators, who 3 weeks ago we were going, well, they might be a 2 seed. They could be a 3 seed. They're a lock for a 1 seed now. 12 quad 1 wins. Even if they were to lose to Kentucky in the quarterfinals, which I don't think would be the worst thing in the world, one, it wouldn't be a bad loss and would give them some extra rest. They're not going off the 1 line, I don't think.
The resume that they've built,
yes,
as the season ended, moving into tournament time, boy, it's tough to not look at them. And listen, I watched a lot of college basketball on Saturday.
Yes, me too.
And I can go through Jay Billis, Jason Williams, all you name it, Seth Greenberg, all these guys that were going on and on. They said it as casually as you can imagine. Florida is the best team in the country. With a loss to UConn, who they just replaced in the top line, a loss to Arizona, who's number 1 in the country, number 2, Duke. They played all of these schools. They've played them all, and they didn't win them all. But you know what? They are tournament ready. This is why they're beating people by 20. Tournament ready isn't just that you got your jumper down. Tournament ready is that you're going out there and scratching and clawing for rebounds. You're on the floor for loose balls. They play in a bit of a frenzy. I loved on Saturday how they were saying Kentucky would score to get it to 12. 4.5 seconds later, after the ball was through the hoop, the Gators are scoring down the court. Okay, and listen, you've got 7-footers, Condon,
running the floor. Yep.
Chinyalu. They're running the floor, and they're tough underneath. And you got guys who were struggling to shoot, who are starting to find their mark a little bit. Boy, if you could have, last year's team, they had the same guys were there. They had a good line, front line.
The
but
guard play was
you
great.
waited for Walter Clayton to hit shots.
Mhm.
Now everything's inside out, and they look really good. So they are definitely the team to beat right now, especially in the SEC tournament. I don't see anybody who's really a threat to them. But I don't like a Missouri matchup. Missouri beat them. They know they were a tough matchup for Florida, so maybe Missouri would be tough. But overall, I mean, everybody keeps on saying who's the two? Who's the 2 seed? I don't know if it matters at this point in the SEC. They're good.
Well, it's Arkansas, and they
Yeah,
only
but
beat them by 1 million.
Oh, it made them look silly, and then they're injured,
Mhm.
at this point too. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see. Could Florida lose? Yes. Sometimes in that situation, you lose focus. Somebody knows you. It's the third time you're playing somebody, all that kind of stuff, and you can lose a game. Bad
Yep.
shooting. But I think that moving forward in the tournament, they're the type of team that they're not upset proof, because they're going to be, anybody who beats them is going to be an upset. But the
Mhm.
style, the way they play, it is not based on having to hit threes. While it helps, it's about hustle, under the boards, out rebounding everybody you played.
Yes.
Everybody. So you
Extra
just gotta,
possessions, my friend.
yep,
Extra possessions.
no doubt, no doubt.
You crash the boards like that. So they are absolutely on a roll. Other teams in the state, Miami is the 3 seed in the ACC, and it's interesting. Duke got their revenge against North Carolina, John, but at the expense of losing yet another starter. They're going to be down 2 starters for the ACC tournament. I could see them being an early out.
Mhm.
Coach John Shire's already said neither starter is going to play in the ACC tournament, and they don't have to. Duke is a lock number 1 seed. They could
Right,
lose to
right.
whomever in the quarterfinals. It doesn't matter
The,
because
the
they need those guys back for the big run.
the win over Michigan probably was the lock for them. That was
Yes.
a tournament type of game to be on the road, and they looked really good against Michigan.
Speaking of Michigan, they look very good. They took care of Michigan State on Sunday. They haven't lost since the Duke game, and they're beating people. They went undefeated in the Big Ten on the road, which is saying something. Okay, I don't think I think they're a lock. Also, I don't think there's
Yeah,
anybody. I don't think there's anybody on the 2 line that if they win their conference tournaments gonna unseed one of the 4 number 1 seeds. I think these are a solid number 1 seeds, and they were solid last year, and they all ended up in the Final Four. I'm having a hard time, and the bracket hasn't come out yet, but I'm gonna have a hard time not before the Final Four.
right, right. I totally agree. Michigan State was ranked.
Mhm.
It's funny. I don't. And maybe it's I just like Michigan State as a whole. Even in that loss of that game, I looked at Michigan State and it was like, they're figuring certain things out. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? They didn't win. Michigan came at them in waves. And they're a solid team. But you look at Michigan State and I think
Mhm.
I got it now. Again, nothing's an Elite Eight is no surprise to see Michigan State, no matter where they come into the tournament. But watching them yesterday, I kind of like them. I wouldn't want to see them at a 2 line. That would be but anywhere in the tournament, you don't.
Yep. Miami, I mentioned the 3 seed at home to Louisville on Saturday, 92-89, 2 years ago. And then last year, everything just completely fell apart. They have rebounded very nicely, and they're going to have the double bye. And who knows? They could move themselves up a little bit if they can somehow win
Yes.
the ACC tournament.
Yeah, I agree.
And listen, I think since I don't think Duke's going to win it, I think it's as wide open as it gets in the ACC.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Because you look around, Carolina's ranked what 18th in the country before the
Yeah.
loss to Duke, and you're not seeing like 1A 1B type of thing. It's Duke and the rest right now,
Yeah.
and I can even say that a little bit about the SEC right now with Florida.
Mhm.
It's sort of Florida and the rest. Big Ten's got some more quality teams going along there. I would say that Big 12 is very competitive at this point
Yes.
as well. So that's kind of a good, going to be a fun one to watch. I know that nobody in the Big 12 except for Arizona, maybe somebody that come out of maybe at Iowa State could be, if they win
Yep.
it, maybe there's something, I don't know, but I think I'm going back to what you said earlier. I think you're right. I think the ones are all locked in there, and just because they're just that much better than the rest of the conference teams in their conference.
Speaking of the Big 12, UCF is the 8th seed. They were headed towards maybe maybe a double bye, and they've had a couple of really tough losses. They lost over the weekend by double digits after losing to Oklahoma State at home. So they
Yeah.
didn't exactly close very strong. They'll play the winner of Cincinnati and Utah in the 8-9 game, and then if you manage to win that, it's Arizona. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've watched a few UCF games this year, just because curiosity. I love Johnny Dawkins as a coach for UCF. I think he's the right guy, but it's one of the. I'm looking over my shoulder. Nick Folk going to the Falcons.
Nick Folk.
Yeah. Nick, the Jets kicker.
Yeah. Yeah, there's been tons of punter action. I'm not going to go on here, but they're breaking records. One signs and the next one signs for a little more. It's really weird.
There's no doubt about it. But anyway, the point about UCF is they look the part.
Yes,
they look
athletic.
Good. They're an athletic team, and you're looking at them, you're like, wow. You know what? Another team that in that conference too. Colorado looks the part too.
Yeah.
They got some athletes as well out there, but UCF definitely looks the part to me. They might make a little bit of run, but I think that they're definitely a team that's going to make the 64. There's no doubt.
Yeah, well, right now they're the 11. They're not the 11 that has to go to Dayton, so they've got a little bit of leverage. And the other thing about Saturday, 9 of the 12 teams that were on the bubble, last 4 in, first 4 out, last 4 out, played. All 9 lost. So the bubble is as weak as it can possibly be. One more mention of an in-state team. Let's give it up for USF. They closed out strong. They beat Charlotte by over 20. They're the 1 seed in the AAC. Now, I hate this type of format. And we've got a game tonight, as a matter of fact, where a team has won 5 games and has to win a 6th against a team that joined the tournament in the semifinals and is in the final tonight.
Right.
The AAC is very similar. USF's the top seed. They won't play till Saturday in the semifinals. They literally get a bye all the way to the semifinals. Now, they might have to play the host UAB, which would be a tough draw, but they certainly are stacking it to where, USF has an advantage. 2 of the last 3 years, they're the 1 seed in the tournament. They've just done a tremendous job. And Sunday, I don't know if you watched the end of that game, but they started chanting Amir Abdur-Rahim's name, the coach that passed away.
Yeah.
The fans were absolutely tremendous. I tell you what, this is not basketball country, and yet when the teams are good, they will come.
Right. No, there's 100% listen, college basketball with a good team is such a fun environment as well. Yep. We get wrapped up in the pageantry of what college football is in a lot of cases, especially down here in Florida. But the idea is that when you go to a college basketball game, it's nothing but it's not Cameron Indoor. That's got its own uniqueness to it.
No, but I think the O-Dome is a great atmosphere.
The Rowdy Reptiles, and you've got people all over the place that the fans are fanatic. Are great at what they do, and it makes it really into a fun venue for sure. Little sneak peek. I do have something to mention later about fans and that sort of thing about the Bugging Me section. So that's coming up a little later.
All right. I have a funny feeling I know what you're going to be talking about. One other thing, and this kind of bugs me a little bit, and I'm sure you'll hear more about this, but Danny Hurley is back to being Danny Hurley, and he's a jerk. He's a great coach. They won back-to-back championships. They almost beat Florida last year. They were the only team that got, real.
That was a tough game. Yep.
Yeah, it was definitely a tough game. But man, when things don't go his way, he is just at the end of the game against Marquette, which by the way was a terrible loss.
Yes.
And I mean, if they get bounced early in the Big East tournament where they aren't even the 1 seed, St. John for the 2nd straight year wins the outright Big East regular season title. So UConn's the 2 seed. But at the end of the game, there was a non-call and a foul. It was a 2-point game at the time. And Hurley clearly makes contact with an official. I, and he goes into the presser afterwards and tries to sell the fact that he didn't think he bumped him. Is he temporarily insane at that point, John? I mean, there's video. I mean, you can't lie in that situation. And
he's has the potato argument.
yeah.
Well, I didn't. He's going to say, well, I didn't really bump him. I brushed him when I went, but I was trying to get to his ear. I didn't intentionally do it. He's going to play that whole thing out when it's on film and everything else. And quite frankly, I get it. There's a lot of emotion, but he's done it. He's done it before. He's thrown through a fit in the Florida game last year in the tournament. He threw a fit.
Right in the tunnel. He's telling all the Baylor kids, "Don't get screwed like we did." Coming out of the tunnel. I'm sorry. I think the Big East missed a chance here, John. I'm going to cut you off, and I apologize.
Yeah. No, it's good.
I think the Big East, they fined him $25,000. Which, hang on, I think I got a buck in my pocket because that's about what it's like with the last contract he signed. But in my opinion, they should have sat him down for the quarterfinal game. I'm sorry. He's got to get suspended at some point, or he's just going to keep doing what he's doing.
Right, and that's you're 100% right. He's making excuses up because he can. He's allowed to. You know what I mean? How about this? I'll say it. And sometimes it takes. You got, instead of waiting for somebody else to do it, maybe you got to do it at home. Maybe UConn's got to say you're sitting out a game because we got to get you. We got to get. It's getting out of control. Love your passion, that, but here's the deal. But the problem with that is he seems that everybody wants to dangle the fact that he might go to the NBA. He was a big thought about going to the Lakers a couple years ago. So if they're going to try to self-inflict a little wound to him at UConn, maybe he says I'm out of here and I'm on to the next.
No,
thing. Who knows?
I honestly, after the last time, I don't think an NBA team throws the kind of money that the Lakers were throwing at him. I think that ship has sailed.
I don't think he's an NBA guy. Number one,
right. NBA players would laugh their ass off at him.
Right. His style does not work in the NBA. Not a chance.
Yep, you're absolutely right, John. So it's Arizona, Michigan, Florida, UConn. Who do you think? I mean, all right, everything being equal, I think Duke's gonna now. If Duke wins the ACC, they're, in my opinion, without two starters, they're the number one overall seed.
Yes,
but I don't think they're going to. So, in your mind, between Arizona, Michigan, and Florida, who do you think is the number one overall seed?
Arizona.
Okay,
I like Arizona
that with conviction.
Yeah, I just think that they finally got all their guys back this past week. And they've been winning games, pretty steadily. Had a little blip for a little bit there. I think that Arizona is the best, has the best resume. I know that Florida may have the eye test right now, but that's not really what this is about. I would say if I was going to rank them, if let's say if Duke was to lose, I'd say Arizona, Florida, Michigan. No, Duke, Michigan. I think Michigan's the weakest of those teams.
And that's a pretty damn good team, by the way.
Yeah.
They are playing tremendous ball, though they lost their sixth man.
Here's one thing I'll say to you about Michigan, Rich, which I don't get me wrong. I think I'm not trying to downplay Michigan, but there's only 5 guys on the court at one time. I grant you, they got 9, 10 guys. Okay, whatever they can run guys out there. He has that style of play that he has. He empties the bench. You got the tall, big guy, but if they have one guy they can count on for points, okay, and so I don't see where they have if that guy's shut down, I can see them struggling on the offensive side of the ball. No matter who you're trying to try it out there from the bench to get out there and get some energy or whatever it may be, just don't see that. If you gave me Michigan's 5 best guys, they don't match against the other 3 teams' 5 best guys.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. And we've watched a lot of the month of February. I've watched a lot of college basketball.
Yeah.
A lot of college basketball.
It felt to me like the old days for some reason. I don't know what basketball, and I don't know if it was just having the opportunity to watch a lot of basketball. Network it's all over. It's everywhere. It's all weekend, all week. It's on all the time. but it just felt like something like I was watching basketball back in the mid to late 80s when ESPN was building that energy and everything else. There's something to it. Somebody said to me the other day, I thought was interesting, that how excited they were to see that they're watching the Charles Barkley Shaq show, whatever you want to call it there, that
inside the NBA or whatever. Yeah.
They're watching it more now because it's more relevant on ESPN, and they're looking forward to watching the tournament because those guys are the studio analysts for a lot of it.
Yes, they are.
So this whole thing is becoming, there's more people involved. The show is a little bit better. I'm not going to give ESPN all the credit for that. I think they've done some things good with college basketball, but there's something more about it that the entertainment value has gone way up with NCAA basketball the last 2 years in particular.
And by the way, got to go all the way back to Friday. Miami finished off their perfect season in an unbelievable game. I've been in that gym. I mean, I don't know how they stuffed all those people in Athens at the OU gym. It looked like they were on the court at times, it seemed. But what an atmosphere. And listen, Ohio U brought their best. Yep. And Miami somehow found a way to win. Boy, do they score. They score the basketball. They are very fundamentally sound. I'm afraid I watched a lot of that game trying to project things out. If they win the tournament, they're probably what?
4 or 3?
No, I don't think they're that high. I think they're maybe
okay.
Yeah, all right, not a 3, maybe a 4 or 5.
Okay.
Well, they're going to get a pretty tough another conference champion, probably like a Liberty or that's going to be a tough game for them. Because the one thing that scares me is athletically. They just I think when they start playing bigger schools, I think the athleticism is going to be a problem.
And I said they do score a lot of points, And that gym looked like Cameron Indoor. And I don't know if and the lighting sucked. The game everybody looked like they were wearing dingy clothes. It was kind of weird, but it was. To see the game going in it with no overtime at all, and it was already it was 100 to 100. Boy, that's some high entertainment value on that one.
Yeah. So congratulations on the Red Hawks, 31-0, and now go ahead and win the MAC tournament in Cleveland to assure your spot. Although I would say, especially after last Saturday when all the bubble teams lost, they have to be in, even if they lose, especially if they lose to Akron. That would actually put 2 pretty good MAC teams into the field. And the MAC is one of those conferences when you're filling out your bracket, and you'll see it when the stats come out. They're a conference that usually pulls an upset. So
absolutely right.
It'd be very interesting. I can't wait till brackets come out, as you could probably tell, because I've only mentioned it about a half dozen times already. The 941 Sports Zone presented by my buddy, the Mighty Dog over here, Mighty Dog Roofing of Southwest Florida, 941-251-4257. Get that roof taken care of before hurricane season starts, 941-251-4257. All this great sports action over the weekend, John, and last night, the Tampa Bay Lightning and Buffalo Sabres put on a show.
Yep.
Both teams on the back end of a back-to-back, and you'd have swore they hadn't played in a week. The atmosphere at the KeyBank Center, I heard Sal Capaccio, our buddy, this morning on WGR in Buffalo talk. He was at the game. The atmosphere was raucous. They are so starved for a winner in Buffalo. And the Sabres have, we were talking about that lightning streak. They were 21-1 in 22 games since December 20th. Well, since December 9th, there's been no team in the NHL that's been as good as the Buffalo Sabres.
Yeah.
And what a game last night. They get out to a huge lead. The Lightning, playing on the back end of a back-to-back, decided to play their backup goalie against Buffalo. I have some thoughts on that in a second. Well, because, and I'll bring it right now. If the Lightning hadn't hit a rough patch where they'd lost 4 in a row, they probably flip-flop because they played Toronto the night before, and Toronto is just playing out the string. But I think John Cooper's thought was, we need to get one. We've lost 4 in a row. We haven't looked good doing it.
Sure.
You know, we need to get a win. He's not playing Vasilevsky back to back. He's not. He won't do it. As it is, not playing back to back, he still plays 60 plus games,
Yeah.
and he's been around a while. Okay.
Yeah.
And between the Stanley Cup runs that they made, that's another full season of hockey. Okay.
Yeah. It's an old
With
goalie.
just those threes, right? So, you know, they play the backup goalie. They get behind 4-1. And even when I saw that, I was like, oh, yeah, back end. Buffalo's geeked. They're playing hard. You know, I flicked the game on 4-2, 4-3, 4-4. Their goalie wasn't exactly lighting the world on fire either. Then the fights started. It was a very physical game. 5 fights in a hockey game.
They showed that I saw a blurb that came up on my feed, and it was the fans giving a standing ovation to how many people were in the penalty box and one for both teams. Yeah,
it was pretty incredible. The Lightning get up 7-5, and the second TV timeout, they're up 7-5. Basically, got less than 10 minutes to go, and couldn't hang on. They give up 4 power play goals and a shorty in the game. When you get beat that bad on special teams, it doesn't bode well, and it certainly didn't. 8-7 the final. Buffalo's now in first place in the division. They're still, I believe, right around 20 games left, maybe 21. The Lightning still have 2 games in hand, which is, you know, kind of big. Certainly one of the problems they were having when they were in that little downswing was they weren't scoring many goals. Well, they fixed that, 5 in Toronto and 7 in Buffalo on Sunday night. But nonetheless, they've got some issues on the back line. And listen, Buffalo, you know, they had a couple of Tage Thompson. I've always thought the world of Tage Thompson. Alex Took. They've got players on that team.
Yes.
And a lot of the talk earlier this year was they needed goaltending, and they still might need goaltending. But nonetheless, they have put it together, and give them credit. And the fans showed out. They've got one more game against the Lightning. They've taken the first 2. They beat them last week, as a matter of fact, 6-2 in Tampa. So, but you know, this could be an excellent second round matchup in the Stanley Cup playoffs if Buffalo keeps playing like they're playing.
Yeah, I agree. A little feeling about the Lightning coming off the Olympics. It seems like everybody came off it with a little bit of rust is not the right word. A little bit of complacency.
Lethargy.
I think
Cooper, so many guys on so many teams. They had like 7 guys playing.
So, and I think Cooper really, I mean, again, he had personal issues. Obviously, his dad passing away. Mm-hmm. He took the loss really hard. You can tell, like he didn't have that same John Cooper look to him in the press conferences. And so, I don't know if everybody just needs to just, you know, have like a weekend away or something. I don't know what it really is. I'm not sure. I'm not sure it's like a pep talk. I think it's like, hey guys, you know what? Catch your breath. You got a lot ahead of you right now. Let's get back on track. Let's not try to, you know, hey, let's not go out there and run around trying to hit bombs. Let's go out there and play solid hockey. We're better than most teams. Just our roster alone is better than most teams are going to play. So just go out there and get it right. Sounds simple, but who knows if that's going to be something that they can do in the short term.
Here's the problem, John. They're in a stretch where they're playing 14 games in 29 days.
Yeah.
So the games are coming fast and furious. So he might have to actually start rotating people out, maybe giving them. Although there were plenty of guys have had plenty of break with injuries. Braden Point, he should be fresh as a daisy. He's been playing well. Kucherov's been Kucherov, but he may need a little breather. He's over 100 points again. The back line still concerns me.
Yeah, I agree.
Vazzy's going to be Vazzy, but the guys in front of him, even when we were winning cups, they weren't rock solid. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I agree. I totally agree. I think that's always been what probably their Achilles heels. They never had the defense that you go 3 lines on the defense. It just doesn't happen. So there's a little bit of that. And the other thing too, you know, everybody's always picked on the Lightning a little bit about their style, that they are, you know, one too many passes in the power play and a lot of skating and you know, a lot of different, you know, trying to get a pass behind you, whatever it may be. this is where they need to show. Maybe they need to get to playoff hockey mode now, and get out of the idea that, let's not worry about who's going to win the Vezina, who's going to win this, who's going to, let's just go out there and play solid hockey. Maybe the wake up call was to get in a bunch of fights against Buffalo. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Sometimes that wakes you up and you're like, man, this is we're not playing international hockey anymore. We're not skating around and doing this. Now it's drop your gloves and fist fight. Remember when the game outside at Tampa, there was as they were reaching the apex of their win streak and everything else. What was everybody talking about? The goalie fight.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And it's not the goalie fight that we're all bloodthirsty for hockey fights, but it was just a matter of saying, like, I'm here too. I'll throw punches. We're all the same. Let's go out there and play as a unit, play as a team. And, there's something to that. I think they need that type of, mentality, or just get that sort of that boost that puts them on the fact that let's start. Playoff hockey doesn't start and it starts now. Let's go. Let's start playing playoff hockey. We can't change that up coming off losing streaks or not being the hot team coming in or whatever. Do it now, get it straight, and I think they'll be fine.
Lightning did make one minor deal at the trade deadline. They got Corey Perry back from Anaheim. Interesting. He's chasing a cup. He was at one point, I think, in 5 consecutive finals and lost all of them.
Yeah.
As he was switching teams. Lightning gave up a future draft pick. And when I say future, I think it was 2028 or 2029. They're very thin. When they went after that third consecutive cup, the series they lost to Colorado in 22, they made a lot of trades and traded a lot of draft capital away, and they're still a few years away from getting some of that back. So
yeah, no, there's no doubt about that. And Corey Perry, I don't know if he's a difference maker, but he's a solid veteran that you can put on a fourth line.
Yeah, he is a grit player.
Right.
He'll mix it up. He has no problem, even at his advanced age. I think he's 40.
Yeah, so he's definitely up there.
Yeah. So, all right, a couple of more things before we get to. You folks better be making money on these locks of the week. That's all I got to say. I mean, holy crap. Anyway, I can't gain any ground on the man over there. But anyway, Bay Hill, interesting tournament. A couple of things. I'm going to start with the negative. Rory plays 2 rounds and then backs out. Says his back's bothering him, but says he'll be okay for the players, which, by the way, starts in 3 days.
Right.
He was fined, $3 million? Was that 2 years ago, John, for missing signature events? Smells like I'll
100%.
play a couple of rounds and I'll withdraw so I don't get a $3 million fine, and I'll get myself honed up for the players.
Rory,
go ahead.
Rory is I know a lot of guys who follow golf who can't stand Rory McIlroy. And there's something about his, I don't know, demeanor or whatever it is that really sets some people off. He comes across as a bit of a whiner when he doesn't really need to be.
Right.
And so in this kid's situation, of course, is what he did. He saw no pathway to winning. Maybe he went in there with the idea he was going to do what you said, and just I'm gonna back out. I'm gonna put more time into the players. It means more, or whatever it may be. But I what I do like about Rory, other than he's got a great game, but he's been an advocate for the PGA Tour. He put himself out there when it probably wasn't comfortable for him. But he tends to do these things where people go back and say, "Oh, there's Rory. That's the guy we know," and they forget how much maybe he put into certain things. I think, honest to God, I really feel like what happened at Ryder Cup to him, people were he's not recovered from it in some ways.
Yeah,
there's something to it. He seems at his best and his happiest doing TGL, doing the indoor golf thing. He's a different person. Than his demeanor is different than when he's on the tour, and that seems like it's more like it's fun. He doesn't look like he's having fun. And it's his job. I get that, and you're not going to be jovial all the time. He just doesn't look like he's having a good time. So I sympathize with him. I think he's done some good things, but I also understand where it comes from, where he's got that sort of demeanor that people just are pushed away from him.
That's interesting because my best friend, who lives in Zephyr Hills, he's a huge Rory fan. Loves Rory. And Rory drives him crazy till he got the career grand slam. I always used to tease him. Well, here's Thursday Rory. He's 6-7 under par. He's right there. And then he would just slowly fade away. And Sunday, there's Rory Sunday, kind of thing.
Rich, I go to Waste Management every year. I've never seen a bigger crowd to watch somebody practice than Rory McIlroy. Because the manner in which he looks like a machine. The way, sometimes you watch it on TV and they say, well, club head speed 189 or whatever, ball speed, whatever, what all the different,
X 107,
all the metrics,
high as heck. Yep.
Right. When he hits a ball, it's hips, shoulder turn, everything is right where it needs to be, and he can just powder a golf ball. Okay, he's just got that. And it's just fun to watch. It's like, wow, I can sit here all day and watch this guy hit golf balls. It's ridiculous. I go to a driving range. I'm 10 minutes in. I'm like, get me off the driving range. Let's go play the game. And he just looks like he's a machine. So he has this sort of like golf charisma to him that people, when you watch him, if you're a golf nut, you just marvel at the way Rory hits the ball and marvel at his swing. And but when he opens his mouth, sometimes it just doesn't resonate with the 4 beer guy in the grandstand. You know what I mean?
Can I make a comparison, and you can tell me I'm completely off, but is he not the British Tiger? Because Tiger used to hit the ball and everybody would just be like, holy crap, it just sounded different. I remember covering Tiger when he was at Stanford playing in an amateur in El Paso, Texas. Right. And we were watching all these kids, and then he'd hit the ball and it was just like, wow, it's even back then, he was only like 19. It was so much different.
So I'm going to give you a little something here that to kind of add to your comparison, Tiger to Rory. Both fantastic swings, both super talented. Most European players are they are the gentleman's game. You don't drink on the course. There's a lot of about the history of the game. Rory carries the whole Northern Ireland flag on for everything he does, right? Tiger, kill the ball, unbelievable player, had all the skills, whatever it may be. But Tiger was an asshole, okay? And he was an asshole who wanted to win at any cost possible, and he did. Rory doesn't, okay? Rory, they're both super talented. Rory plays a gentleman's game. Tiger plays an asshole's game. He's the guy that wants to beat you all the time. And I'm not trying to make saying he's an asshole because he's a bad person or whatever. He just, when he goes out there, he wears red and black and lets you know I'm going to beat you. He says, I won with my C game. Okay. He stands in your line of sight on purpose. These are things he does so you can see who you're playing against. Okay. All psychological things that if you played against a guy like that, you'd say you're an asshole. Okay. And that's what it comes down to. And Tiger has more victories. Tiger has won more because it just matters that much more to him than it does. So they're equally, they have talent. They carry. Rory just carries himself differently. That's why he looks whiny, because he's like, why are you not appreciating that I came in second, or why are you not appreciating that I've done this or I've done this? Where's my appreciation? Tiger's like, I don't need your appreciation. You're gonna have to like me. Too bad. And the American golf fan nowadays loves it. Look at the asshole go. Yeah. You know what I mean? Put it to him. So that kind of a thing.
All right. So the golf on the course, Daniel Berger was in complete control. He opened up, what do you have, a 62 to start I think he was 9 under.
I think it was.
63? Yeah. Okay. 9
under.
Carried it to Saturday. Yeah. Conditions got tougher. No question about it over the weekend. And really he was keeping the field at arm's length. Akshay Bhatia was playing well too. Actually made some ground on Saturday, and they were the final twosome out Sunday. Um, the Berger was ahead basically the whole day, right up till 16 when Bhatia caught him. Actually, yeah, 16, 17 where Bhatia caught him, and then Berger. I thought it was a little bit of a strategical error.
Yeah.
It's going to say 3-putted, but he was 100 feet away from the first putt. And sometimes that's harder to putt than it is to chip.
Absolutely
You got to
it is.
judge this. You could definitely talk about that more than I did, but nonetheless,
100-foot
Bhatia,
putt breaking 9 feet. That's not a 100-foot straight up a hill. 9
Right.
feet of break on a putt too. So you got to measure. Anybody who's played golf has a right to left putt or a left to right putt, where you got to gauge speed and break at the same. Try to match them up. Try to match it up from 100 feet away.
Yeah.
Oof.
So he 3 putts. Bhatia knocks his last putt in, and Akshay gets $4 million. He hung around. He's played very well over the last couple of years. He's been near the top of the
he's
leaderboard
solid.
in many, many tournaments. So good on him for getting the win. Berger, probably a little bit of tough pill to swallow, but he's playing well. Both those guys heading up to North Florida. It's Players Week. I know from being down there a couple of weeks ago, the advertisements on TV were nonstop. And, they were talking about, it's just major, I think was their punchline for their stuff. So even though golf
they want to be the 5th major, best field in golf. It has everything around it. It's got finishing holes that they're spectacular. Made for TV, made for spectators. Again, another TPC course where you have great venues. You can think about where you can sit and you can watch them play the 16th green, watch them play 17, watch them tee off on 18. That little basin, if you want to call it, is unbelievable spectator situation for golf.
Yes.
So looking forward to that one for sure.
And the weather going to be kind of iffy. 3 of the 4 days there's a chance of rain, and it's going to be on the cool side, upper 60s, low 70s. Little different than it has been.
Yeah.
Even North Florida has been in the 80s, so could be the great equalizer. Talk to me a little bit about that course, because I know you know it as well as anybody. I know you've played it, and
it made me fall into a puddle of my body was a puddle of goo. I couldn't even. I played it, and it just every shot is challenging. It's stadium golf is a little different. The holes that they don't that when they're playing they make it look easy. There are holes that look so easy on TV, and I'm like, this is the hardest hole out here. There's birdie opportunities, for guys who can hit the ball. It's definitely you hit it long, you're going to do well there. But you've got a lot of finesse shots. You got a lot of things. You got to be a shot maker. You got to not be afraid. Bold golfers will win that tournament. There's no doubt about it. Front 9 is sneaky hard. 8 and 9. 8's a long par 3. I mean, you're looking at 230. Even for the guys like me, the tees for me, there's just impossible. You're hitting into a very narrow spot. You don't hit the green, you're looking at bogey. 9 is a give it, you can go for it in 2. You lay up short, you got bunkers to finagle with. So that kind of thing is there. But again, it's the finishing holes. It's coming down the end. I'll even throw 15 in there, 15, 16, 17, and 18. Just come Sunday, the theater for that's going to be is always amazing. No matter it's 129, 130 yard shot. And that's a wedge for those guys. And it's it's not a small target either. You look at the size of that green. Now it goes in. Now if the ball's on the right or the flag's on the right, you can't aim left. You got to aim for it. If the flag's on the front, you got to go for it because you don't want to be behind too far the other side because it's a hell of a lag putt coming back. So it's a big target overall, but you got it. Really, it's small spots to land it, depending on where the flag is. but it's a great spot. I would tell anybody if you have a chance to go to that tournament, I would. And if you have a chance to play the golf tournament, the golf course, good luck to you. It's tough. On number 9, I had a shot in, the second shot in, and I was standing over the shot, and I looked at a buddy of mine and said, I can't hit the ball. I don't know what to do. I mean, I was so intimidated at where to go with the second shot. I just had my brain just went crazy. I couldn't handle it. I hit the shot. Eventually it wasn't a good one, but I did hit it. But it really took its toll on me. It's a very challenging golf course.
And it's going to be very challenging because the practice rounds, the temperatures are in the low 80s, light winds, and like I said, once you get to Thursday looks like it could definitely be a round that doesn't get finished. Thank goodness we did daylight savings time. Sure hope everybody remembered. Yeah. And not that it matters on a podcast, but nonetheless. And then Sunday's another day where the weather's very, very iffy. And if we got to a Monday playoff, Monday's kind of iffy. So they're going to have to deal. And you talked about the long players. Well, if the course gets a little wet, obviously the long players, that's an equalizer.
Big difference. Yeah.
The guys who don't hit the ball nearly as far. All right, a couple more things. By the way, let's make picks. Who do you like?
I'd like to say to you that you shouldn't pick Scotty Scheffler for everything, but he's just, you can't count him out this golf course sort of suits him. He's a guy like and you can hear the roars. So I'm going to tell you that with a very, very easy way, I'm going to pick Scotty Scheffler.
You're going to pick Scotty. That means I got to pick somebody else. All right. Because I was going to pick Scotty too. Because I just think he's been laying in the weeds. I really do. I think he's just been kind of, he's
working on stuff.
These games, these courses are great, and I'll just get a check here and a check there, and this, that, and the other thing. Who the heck do I want to go with? I don't like guys. I mean, I know that Berger and Batia are both playing very well. But I just don't think you can carry that for 2 consecutive weeks. That's just asking a lot, especially with everything that's going on. Boy, all right, I'm gonna stick with Scotty. Why not?
Okay,
I mean, I'll
give you this right now.
Clear betting favorite. I want to pick somebody else. I would have picked Rory.
Right, but he's hurt. Or he's making excuses. You know what I mean? No, here, I'm going to give you some guys real quick, Rich. Okay, because you can't really count the guys who played out in California. Different golf. Who's played well the last couple of weeks? Daniel Berger, don't count him out, okay? Guy, when you have that guy who sort of stumbled on one, here's another name I'm going to give you. Shane Lowry, okay? Because Shane Lowry, I've been waiting to look at him. I would probably tell you that in my fantasy golf, that might be my pick. Because he's played well. Again, he had 2 bad holes down in Palm Beach. He's gonna do okay. So watch him. Sepp Straka is due to win a big one, and he's been around a little bit, and he plays well on certain courses. I like Sepp Straka as well. Akshay could do well again. Thigala, I like him. He came from California. He's a California guy, but he came and started playing well. So watch out for some of those guys. I don't think you're going to see one of these young bucks make a move. I think this is going to be somebody who's going to win. This has been around this loop more than a few times. So, those guys right there, that could be one of your guys as well.
All right. Okay, let's move to the World Baseball Classic. Team USA 2-0 so far. They played probably 2 of the easiest teams in the group, but the way their group is, okay, so the 2 teams at the bottom, Brazil and Great Britain, are 0-3, and Mexico, Italy, and the United States are 2-0. Now, as we record this on Monday night in Houston, the U.S. is playing Mexico. Paul Skeens is on the mound to start the game for Team USA. Mexico's got a dynamic team. They beat us in 23. So they're definitely not afraid of us. And Italy's been playing very well too. just to get out of this pool play is going to be tough. And then you got the Dominicans, you got the Puerto Ricans that are playing incredibly well. And then there's that team from halfway around the world, Japan, who is also playing incredible
baseball. That's a loaded team.
It's actually turning, I didn't have very much interest going in, but I found myself watching a lot this weekend.
Well, because you get excited a little bit about baseball and pitchers and catchers get in there. We got spring training baseball down here. So it does catch your eye because you're kind of looking for baseball. And look, baseball coming out of the gate doesn't come out like with a big roar. After opening day, it's like, there we go. And here we go. It's like watching the beginning of a marathon.
It's really big thing, right?
Yeah, everybody lines up at the marathon, start running. I'm like, there they go. And I go, okay, give me a mile 13. I'll see where everything's at. So so this has got a little bit of a little juice to it. So that's why I think it lends itself to that.
All right. So once we get out of pool play, I think things are really going to get interesting. I think it's kind of, Lone Depot Park down in Miami. They draw, every game is sold out. You've got the Cuba playing down there. You got the Dominican playing down. I mean, and that place, it's got like a soccer.
It is
almost a soccer feel to it.
Guaranteed.
And the thing that scares me though, Junior Caminero, who by the way has hit 2 bombs so far in this, don't get hurt celebrating, please. I mean, the Mets pitcher that Edwin Diaz that got hurt in the semifinals, they were celebrating a win. He hits a home run, and it takes him a month and a half to circle the base. He's jumping and throwing his helmet. And I'm like, dude, settle down. Come on, I know.
Right.
It's funny because when he hits a home run for the Rays, he trots around the bases like everything's hunky dory. But boy, when these guys play for their country, and that's the part I guess I like is that they're all in. It's kind of like Olympic hockey. They are all in.
You're 100% right, and rightfully so, because those rivalries in the dugouts. Mm-hmm. These guys, we think, they're all no. I mean, they're giving it to each other all the time, and then you're in the dugout with your boy, and then now he's on the other side, and he's been telling you how good the Venezuela team is, or this team is, or whatever it may be, and then like you're tired of hearing that shit, so it's time to go out and play, and and when baseball doesn't have a lot of showboating, so to speak.
Right.
Seems like the showboating is encouraged in this particular format.
Yes, no question about it. And how about Contreras' son for Brazil, 17 years old, and pitched pretty well considering. I mean, kids in high school, for crying out loud. You get to see some people like that that you wouldn't normally see.
Right. You're 100% right.
All right. It's time for Locks of the Week. It's just business as usual. Both of us, I won again. You won again. Duke got their revenge. I don't even remember what your game was last week.
No, I had a UCLA beating Nebraska.
Oh, that's right. And they didn't just beat them.
Yeah, listen. I've watched Nebraska.
That was a great call by you, by the way.
And
great
UCLA had won lost once at home. It just seemed like a game where Nebraska wasn't ready for it. And UCLA, listen, they've got talent. They got a good coach.
Yep.
Not that Hoiberg is not a good coach at Nebraska, but
Mick Cronin is a known commodity.
That one just stuck out on the page for me. I'm like, that's an easy win for UCLA. I'm gonna go first, Rich, and I'm just gonna go real easy. This is where I tempt the betting gods,
gambling gods, as we call them. Yes,
I do not like to pick the team I root for. Okay. But generalities right now, it's hard to pick a game right now. You say one game here and there. So I'm just going to say it. Florida wins the SEC tournament.
Okay. I was going the same way. Yeah.
You might say it's easy, but you know what? As soon as you bet it, they'll lose. Right. And that's what I don't like to do that, but I'm like, you know what? I think it's time that we acknowledge that they're that good, and they should. I can see them again. I don't like a Missouri matchup with them because at Missouri you had already beat them.
See, but I like that part. I'm more concerned about Kentucky, who's lost twice.
Well,
because they're motivated for Missouri.
Kentucky looked like the JV team to Florida. I'm sorry, that looked like the backups, and they had a guy who had if the guy Owe didn't go nuts and score almost 30 points and make every shot in the first half that he scored 17 of their 32 points, they would have lost by 40.
Yeah.
So I just think I think Florida wins the SEC tournament. That's my.
I got even more low hanging fruit. By the way, your record is 17-7.
Right.
That's incredible. All right. I'm 15-9, which is 60%.
Right. You're doing good.
And I'm languishing 2 games behind you. I'm going to go for even lower hanging fruit. And again, I have an axiom. I don't actually put money on teams that I like because
right.
For or against, because I try to look at things objectively, but in the end, you really can't. All right. But I'm going to go, and this one's really low hanging fruit, but I'm going to say USF wins the American.
Good.
And I know they only have to win 2 games, but I want to see them in the NCAA tournament. They're not going to get in as an at-large, which I think is criminal, considering that currently the last team in is Auburn. Do you know what Auburn's record is, John?
Is it 16-14 or 16-15 or 17?
16-15 after getting smoked by Alabama Saturday.
Yes.
Smoked in a game that they had to have. They weren't even in it.
No.
But
they're not good.
So you take the Gators, I take the Bulls, and hopefully we're both right, and we continue our streak. All right, final segment of the show. Mighty Dog was in the background giving us a little bit of he really liked your pick, by the way. Really liked it.
There you go.
It's time for What's Bugging Me. You want to go to the Tee Box? I can go to the Tee Box either way.
I'll go real quick. This is going to be. So, you watch these games, no matter what they are. You watch golf, you watch basketball, where the fans are closer to the court or the field of play. Okay. And while I love the atmosphere at Duke, I love the atmosphere at a lot of these places. Sometimes fans think that they need to be a part of what's going on the court.
They're entitled.
Okay? Yeah. So I'm going to go back to Friday, the Ohio and the Miami of Ohio game. While it was a show and it was a great game, it's terrible that fans are saying things that players are reacting to. I thought Miami should have been. I thought that them running towards the fans at Ohio was sort of childish. You just beat a team that's got barely 500, and you're undefeated. This is not a smart play for a team. It should be walking out of there saying, we almost blew it. You didn't win the national championship. You won a game on a Friday night that you should have blew somebody out. So it goes both ways, I guess is what I'm going to say to you. Fans need to be better in things that they do and say, but players need to not react to it. I don't know if you saw on the 18th green yesterday, Daniel Berger, when he made his putt to go into extra holes, turned around and said something to the fans. Okay. And you don't have to say anything. Okay. No. They got you once you say something.
Correct.
If you want to do something, turn around and tip your cap to somebody. You know what I mean? Turn around or just say, like, hey, you don't need to be going in and trying to cause and provoke each other. You do that as a player or a golfer or whatever it may be, you make it worse for the next guy. Okay. Because now you've, hey, that guy who screamed out some stupid Baba Booey or whatever in your backswing, the next guy's going to do because you're going to make the acknowledgement of it or show you how much it bothered you. That's why, like, I'll go back to Rory a little bit. In Ryder Cup, he should never have made himself. You're not that guy. You look stupid. You're not that guy. So fans need to be better in those close venue type of scenarios. Players need to not react to it as well. Who cares if they call you fat or they say something about your mother? Nobody cares. Get over it. Grow up. You're the guy on the court. They're there to see you. Just ignore the shit out of it and just go on from there. I just don't know why that just gets worse, because what's going to happen is we're going to go back. We remember when there was a time where there was fights in the stands and stuff like that. I also saw the UTEP game. And a fan started going, and players, it's dumb. It's dumb for that. That guy should loses season tickets, whoever it was, immediately. Okay. But you don't need to react to it. And I know it's hard, but you need to get better. That's for sure. And that's what's bugging me.
All right. Well, what's bugging me, and I kind of alluded to it earlier, We've talked about this a few times on the podcast. The NCAA is just they're useless. They're event planners. They'll put on a great tournament, both men's and women's. Although the women's, from the sound of everything, won't have nearly what the men have, and that's
Right.
something that they've hopefully fixed over the last couple of years. But we talked about the Danny Hurley thing,
Mhm.
and we talked about the Big East fined him $25,000, and that's fine. And they didn't suspend. That's where the NCAA's got to come in and say,
Right. Right.
Danny, buddy, you're the quarterfinals. You're going to watch from the hotel. They got to do something. You got to have somebody with some teeth. The conference certainly isn't going to do it because in the end it hurts them. They're not going to. It's self-serving. The NCAA has to jump in, and if Danny Hurley does it, what about the next hot head coach? And if they decide to suspend him, did they suspend him because he's not Danny Hurley? I don't. I don't like it, especially when he out and out lied. Listen, he might have blacked out and not known that he made contact with the guy, but somebody I know showed him the contact. Okay. No, it wasn't intentional. No, it wasn't egregious, but you cannot make contact with the officials.
Right.
And you need to be set. You need to set the example. You are one of the best coaches in the game. You need to sit. And the NCAA needs to come in and say, you need to sit. And if it goes to court, fine. But you got to stick your neck out every once in a while, NCAA. This is just, it's so bad. It's so
Rich,
bad now that it just, go ahead.
let me ask you this question. Would it surprise you if 2 games from now, a bad call happens in a UConn game and a UConn player gets in referee space?
Well, if a player gets, he's automatically suspended. That's the other thing.
That's why there's my point. The point is that, but if you watch your coach do it, okay, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It's not an anomaly. It's a fact. A team takes on a coach's mentality. He creates the culture. Okay.
Yep.
If that's the culture, when is that guy, the kid, say, I got screwed like coach got, when coach got mad. Now I'm mad because I'm going to because coach can't get mad or whatever it may be. You are the leader of young men. Okay.
You're molding their future.
And you've got to be better than that. Look, we crucified Bob Knight for all his antics, right? Mm-hmm. And rightfully so in a lot of different ways, right? But you can't make excuses for guys who are doing some things that have a little bit of a similar tone to it, because it's just going to get worse and worse if you embolden them to keep doing that stuff.
And that's exactly what you're doing. You're enabling him.
Yep.
You keep not suspending him. You keep enabling him to do whatever he wants to do. And that's it for episode 29 of the 941 Sports Zone. This time next week, I'll have a bracket in my hand.
Brackets, free agency.
Yes.
We may have to go 2.5 hours next week.
Yeah, there you go. We'll have plenty to talk about next week. Once again, the NFL upstages somebody. Imagine that. At some point, we're going to have to start talking NBA too. I watched Victor Wembanyama just absolutely take over a game against a really good Houston team last night. Yeah. He is a unicorn. Absolutely unicorn.
I was touting how well ESPN has done college basketball. I think NBC is doing a marvelous job with NBA basketball.
Yes, they are.
They're doing I want to watch games. They're on Tuesday night. I'm watching games. It's network TV. Yep. They're doing it right. They may lose football, like you said. They got so many things going on, but they're doing what they're doing right now. They're doing it proper, no doubt.
I totally agree. Totally agree. All right, for John, not on spring break, Masoni. If you're on spring break down in Florida, be careful, folks.
Yes, indeed.
I'm Spitz. The next break doesn't come until April, but nonetheless, we'll make it through. Snow's melting. That's all I could say. Snow is melting, and I
knew that was bad. That's a big thing.
It is a huge thing. All right, till next week. Again, we do this usually on Monday. Find us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, X, the artist formerly known as Twitter. We put the show out there. Like it, subscribe. We'd greatly appreciate it. And if you got comments, please let us know. All right. That's it. We're out of here. Goodbye.